time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everyone to episode 220 of Born to be Wild, a wild and wild adjacent Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends talking about the wild formats of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the wild community. I'm your host, Hydralisk. It's great to be back on this wonderful, beautiful evening here in the greater Vancouver area. I'm joined by my fellow hosts, ElectricSheepCity.
Meowdy.
And Schmoopydady!
Switching it up from the air horns. Okay, never mind.
The buttons
It was
were
all
right next
bait.
to
It
each
was
other.
all a bait. It was
were
all a
right
bait.
next to
Happy
each other.
happy back contributing to the pod. Oh.
For those of you joining us for the first time, we typically just have the air horns there. Welcome aboard. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today. Thank you. Yes. You.
Content plug. Schmoopydady. Before we get into this main topic of the show tonight, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels on the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon where you can see the show coming together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, a free and amazing online community of friends all across the world who love talking about wild Hearthstone. Links to all of this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Sheep, how was your week?
Well, there was an ongoing saga this week. The saga of the smoke alarm.
Oh boy.
So there was a smoke alarm downstairs that kept on going off, saying that it had low battery. I'd replace the battery. Like the next, it was like a couple days and then it was doing it again. I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then it got quicker and quicker. And so I'm like, okay, this is probably one of two things. Something with the smoke alarm itself or something with the wiring where it's not getting the power and so it's draining the battery quicker. So I brought the smoke alarm up here. I put new batteries in it and I put the smoke alarm from up here downstairs. And wouldn't you know it, while Schmoopydady, you were doing that intro, this very smoke alarm in this room beeped and said low battery, but I had my mic muted, so no editing even needed. Hydra, you're welcome.
They do wear out, and they wear out fairly frequently. I've had to get rid of, especially if it's one of the in-use ones. There's one, it's hard to describe my house because there's a little bit of an open concept at the front, but there's one smoke alarm that gets the brunt of Schmoopy Mommy's cooking. And so if that one gets triggered more frequently than the others, that's the one that ends up wearing out faster than the others. So I'm sure eventually I'm going to have to replace all of them, but they apparently have a notoriously short shelf life. Doesn't shock me that this one has to go. And you just got to go to Lowe's or whatever you have, you know, wherever you are and get a similar thing.
This house has only been built for 17 months. So it's a pretty quick one, but Maybe it was just a faulty board or something.
You don't know how
it
old
can
the
happen.
smoke alarms are either, because like they could have just like the contractors can just be using whatever's lying around, like they like take stuff with them that's already been used once, and then they just like throw it in, or it's like it's been sitting on a shelf for 7 years. You have no idea. So like, doesn't shock me.
To your point, the reason why I grabbed the one from in here is that the first one that I grabbed took 9-volt batteries. This one and the one that was downstairs, the two that I swapped, both had AA batteries. So I wasn't able to use the first one that I was going to swap out. Yeah. So mystery solved. We know which one it is. Replace a smoke alarm. Boom. Easy peasy. So found the answer to that mystery there. Have not. Okay, so I played a decent amount of Hearthstone this week. Sunday, Monday, like I was jamming games. I was actually climbing, doing really well. Tuesday rolls around. You know, like work has kind of calmed down a little bit this week, as I like hoped and assumed that it would. So it's like, okay, it's the first day of the month, or of the season in particular. I'm gonna jam me some games. I jammed me about 10 games. Not quite 10 because I finished the play 10 ranked games on Wednesday. So I jammed me about eight games and hadn't gotten a single win. So I closed the Hearthstone and was like, it's just not the day for it. I got back to it on Wednesday. Wednesday I did get my pack from the Tavern Brawl. Played first some Wildfire Mage and that wasn't really getting me anywhere. So then I played Automaton Priest and 1-1, like easy peasy. Nice. Scoop up the pack and move on. I got my weekly quest for playing 10 ranked games done and still did not have any wins on Wednesday. Thursday, I played some more games. I think I only played 3 on Thursday because I still was winless. And I was just like, I'm just not going to worry about it. Before the pod tonight, I got back-to-back wins. So I'm no longer winless.
Yes.
I haven't quite gotten the card back yet. I'm still working on that, but we'll get there, man. So, the climb is going slow, but it's mostly just, I think that I need to settle down, pick a deck and not just kind of like jump around so much. And there's one deck that has stayed in the top of the Tempo Storm meta report that I think will resonate with me, that I haven't tried much yet. And since I'm saying sticking around, I'm going to go ahead and mention that because, it was their last go round, and won't be a surprise. And that is Spell Damage Druid. Like I've heard that it's a good deck. I really like that, like just burst them down play pattern. I just haven't played this particular iteration of that thing yet. So I'm excited to do that. I played Hostage Mage, played Reno Druid, played multiple things. Just was kind of like deck rouletting my way. And that's when you're just trying to like engage in a proper climb, that's not the way to do the thing. I just hadn't had success with anything yet to kind of like do that properly until tonight. So we'll definitely get there. This is definitely not an I'm concerned thing, but it's also definitely I haven't played as much because I just haven't been winning, and mixing some wins in with that, keeps you cranking that play button, cranking that play lever. So that's been my week in a nutshell. Hydra, how has your week been, my friend?
Pretty good, I guess. Well, there's been some good, there's been some bad. But on a good note, I did play a lot of big Spell Mage. I know that is not wild, but I have been playing a lot of that. And I ran out my bonus stars in Standard, and that's usually kind of where I stop. I just do that and then see what they give me next season. But so I know that Hearthstone's a game and games are supposed to be fun, but also Hearthstone's a game and games are supposed to be won sometimes by at least half of the people. So
Not much this week, though.
And it just turns out that the deck is good, and I keep winning. And I think I talked last week. I was at 5-1, and then I played a few games after that, and I was up to 9-1, and then like 14-2, and it just sort of like,
Ew.
I just kept winning. I don't know what I'm currently at, but it's something slightly absurd. Right, like at least 75% win rate or something like that, and it's just going really well, and so I just keep playing it. So, like, don't mess with a good thing, I guess. So just keep playing it. Unfortunately, unlike Sheep, I did get my card back pretty quickly. I completed all my weeklies very, very quickly this time around.
Man, you called out how quickly he got the card back. We never call out how quickly you get the card back beginning of the month. That's tilt worthy.
It was only because he said that.
He's right there. I know he's not in the screen, but he's got the headphones on. Damn.
Sorry, Sheep. I'm sure there's been months where it's been the exact opposite. So it's all good. And like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah. I'm sure you'll get me next week. You're like, oh yeah, well I'm legend in 2 formats. Wait, I can't play my third one because it's not around this time.
He's legend in Twist already. It doesn't even matter. Like he doesn't have to queue a game at Twist. He's probably legend there already.
I will forever am not because I didn't hit legend in the last season of Twist, so it says I'm D5.
It's still very funny to me. The screenshot of Maxi being like rank 1 in Wild, rank 1 in Standard, Bronze Chicken in Twist. Twist confirmed, hardest format.
Yeah, I don't know. A reason that I did get to play a lot of Hearthstone and other games was, unfortunately, on the weekend, we had some family in town, which was great. That was not the unfortunate part. We had some family. My wife's aunt and uncle, they were doing this thing where they drove across Canada and back. And so, like, a couple months ago, they came through here the first time. They live on Vancouver Island, so you got to take a ferry from there to here, and then off you go. And so they stopped and visited us about 2 months ago on their way out. And then now they stopped off on their way back. So they just went to touristy spots all along the way and, did that thing. And so they were on their way back, and we went to go do a hike with them and some other family. And then we had some dinner where we were going to eat fish tacos. And we had, there's chicken, there was also cod, and there was halibut, and halibut's awesome. Gotta love me some halibut. I don't know if you guys ever eat that, but it's a good West Coast fish over here. And anyway, everything was great until, I won't get into too much detail, but that night, Mrs. Hydra in the middle of the night suddenly wasn't feeling so great, and she was keeping me up because she kept getting out of bed. And I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. Because feeling super selfish, right? Like, she's keeping me awake.
How selfish is she waking you up so much? Good night. Obviously, just kidding.
Yeah. But then, let's say around like 5 a.m, Hydra felt what Mrs. Hydra was feeling, and so come Tuesday, I guess it was, we were both just not in the mood to eat any food at all. And I know, Sheep, you've experienced some of this recently, and it was just it was so bad. It tasted great, but yeah. Anyways,
think of it as a cleanse.
Tasted great.
Think of it as a fish taco
does it
cleanse.
refer
That's
to
all.
there?
the halibut, the fish tacos. They were awesome. But anyway, it apparently didn't sit well with us.
Halibut.
The halibut. Yeah, lost 5 pounds.
There you go.
So yeah,
Not the way you want to.
took me out a little bit. And while I'm playing Hearthstone and just sort of laying in bed and stuff like that, I was looking at Twitter, and Hat keeps talking about this other card game called Balatro that I keep seeing him post. And I've seen other Hearthstone people talk about it as well. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll get it. Hat keeps talking about it. So I download the game, and I was unfortunately instantly hooked on this stinking game. It is really, really fun. If you don't know what it is, it's a roguelike game, but it's playing solitaire poker style is the idea of it. So you're playing by yourself, but there are levels you're beating. You have to beat each level. You have to score a certain amount of points. And there's a boss that have different powers. And then you do things to your deck, to your cards, that give them modifiers and certain things to score higher and beat each boss and beat each level. And I think it was, I don't know what day I got it on. It might have been on Sunday or something like that. I've already put 24 hours of gameplay into it.
Nasty.
As you can see in the screenshot says that we have up on the show if you're watching.
Are you part of the Balatro wild content pipeline? Are you already consuming Raffle content to see what he's up to? Or is he so far beyond what you can comprehend? Because I've tried to watch Balatro on his stream, and I can't follow what's going on. Like I don't know what he's doing. I can't, like, when he's disappointed, I can't tell why he's disappointed. And the thing is like, one of the strengths of him as a player, at least playing Hearthstone, and Hearthstone's a game where you can kind of do it. He really used to talk out his moods, and I learned a lot of Hearthstone watching him play. And so, like, watching him play Balatro, he's sort of talking through some things, but like I feel like I don't even know the basics to the point where it's like, well, this doesn't look that complicated, but I have no idea what is going on at the moment. So like I don't know if you're there yet.
I think you'd have to play the game first. Just consuming it via watching someone else, especially an advanced player, is probably not going to do very well. That's like watching like somebody play some crazy control or like big combo, right? Like in Hearthstone, you have no idea what just happened. Because it's already complicated from the beginning. The very basics of it is you're just supposed to play poker hands, right? But that ramps up very quickly into, like, if you have modifiers that make your pairs better than a full houses, you're not playing full houses anymore. You're going for those pairs. Okay. Right? So it's I'm not anywhere near the level that Raffle would be, as obviously someone who creates content on it. So I've 24 hours in the game. That is it. His content is a little more advanced, I would say. Yes,
Hydra, I am afraid that I'm going to be talking about having played Balatro a decent amount next week, because I've just discovered that it is now on mobile, which it was not before. And
it's Jover.
Yeah, it's Jover. So you've sold me on this game, which I have now purchased for my mobile device. And
you just bought it while we were talking?
Yeah, while we were talking.
Oh, no. He did look down at his phone.
Yeah, I believe it's $15 in your Play Store or whatever.
10 USD for... for $98.
Yeah.
No, on Steam it's 15. That's my bad.
Okay,
Steam is
sense.
15, and then 10 on the App Store. So
that's America dollars, so it may be like $200-$300 Canadian. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm really bad at exchange rates. I'm not sure if you can tell.
Carry the zero something.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's ridiculously addictive. I've been playing it on PC, also on the Steam Deck. So it was mobile in that fashion that you could play on a Steam Deck if you had one. But yes, it is. It previously was not originally released on mobile, and it is on it now. And it's super fun. And yeah, so there's games like I had talked about how I had played Vampire Survivors, and that's a roguelike, and you get these different power-ups and all this stuff. There's multiple different types of cards that give you power-ups. One of the main ones are called Jokers. And there's 150 different types of Jokers alone that give you different modifiers.
Wow.
To be a Joker, master is your
Yeah.
destiny.
And
Gotta
on
catch 'em
top
all,
of
gotta
that,
catch 'em
there's
all.
things called vouchers that give you permanent effects. There are tarot cards, and there are planet cards that give different upgrades to your deck and cards themselves, or adding cards to your deck, or deleting cards from your deck. Like maybe you don't want to have spades anymore, and you can just start deleting them because you've started powering up your hearts or something, right? So it is really interesting, and every run is never the same because there's so many different options of stuff that you can get to. Like I said, at least 150 of that one type of card of the Jokers. So
what I'm
every
hearing
run
is
is
just
different.
keep gambling. You'll eventually high roll.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep at it.
Top tier meme.
Be
Just keep
addicted.
gambling. Duh.
Anyway, so having a lot of fun with that, and I'm definitely gonna keep playing it. Just so you know, if you do have it on mobile and you also have it on Steam, your progress will not be the same. They are separate, like, so it's not cross-platform in that aspect of it, where you would have your saved stuff. But honestly, I would pay for the game twice, so I'm okay with that.
No cross saves though. Noteworthy.
Yeah. Anyways, enough about me and my week. Schmoopydady, how was your week?
Sure. Brief Schmoopy update. He's doing great. They're looking at him and they said, "Hey, your math is so good. Why don't you like?" They asked for our permission. Obviously, we have to sign off on it, but they're probably going to push him out of his more restrictive setting into an inclusion setting for math because he is literally doing all the math problems in his head. And they're like, "Well, we can't make it more challenging for him in here without like we're differentiating and it's still not really working. So like let's push him out entirely and see how he does in a bigger class and give him a little bit of exposure to that." Didn't happen today, but maybe will happen on Monday. You know, once he dips his toes in and once he gets a little more comfortable, he'll start raising hell and we'll see how it goes from there. But like I'm excited to see him go from there. For any young parents in our listening audience who are looking for a show that is like beneficial to put on for their kids, Number Blocks. If you've not seen Number Blocks, it's, I believe, a BBC program, and it teaches math in a very visual way where you're looking at 10 as like, oh, it's 10 lots of 1 and 20 is 2 lots of 10, and like, you know, it breaks it up in a very visual way that's very, it speaks well to kids. It's the way that you guys aren't going to know New York State education, but New York State education tried to teach Common Core math, and they try to teach Common Core math in this way, which is studied to be the best way to teach math ever. But the thing is the people who pushed out Common Core were idiots, and in a 12-step process that pushed it out step 7, so nobody knew what the hell was going on and everybody assumed it was crap. But it's actually really good. Number Blocks is in that vein, but it's starting at the very bottom and kind of bringing kids up. And so, like, I've watched and then heard of literally multiple kids learning their math from Number Blocks. So if there's ever a show that you're looking for, it's the entire season is on. The entire everything is on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you have Number Blocks. Otherwise, you can go to YouTube and do, like, I don't know, whatever weird YouTube jank subscription there is for, like, educational programs like that. But, like, that's there. I would suggest Number Blocks as the nuts. It is the nuts. And the kids and my kid loved it. And he loved it for a long time. And he would like rewatch some episodes multiple times over and learned a lot from it. So check it out. In real life for me.
I was just gonna say, do you think it would help with doing math for Balatro?
Maybe. It depends on you've played Wild for a long time? Yeah, probably. Honestly, like at this point, you're missing some brain matter. You could use something to just sort of plug the holes. All so, right. Like, yeah, to stop stuff from leaking out. Yeah, okay, perfect. They're short episodes. They're only like, I'd say like 7-8 minutes. So just like jam 3 of them a night, and let's try to like connect some of those neurons that you severed playing Wild all those years. So I'm on a personal note, I broke the hornet's nest in half. I really cracked her with a solid hit from a medium-sized rock, and I walked away and I didn't get stung, and I felt like a superhero.
Yeah.
So the very next morning,
Better
the very
than I
next
did.
day, the very next day, I went back and I got another medium-sized rock and I threw it and I missed. But this time I made the mistake of like looking at my progress, and so I learned something new because I opened a larger floor for the hornets to get out. They got out a lot faster, and I got stung a couple times. So my arm's a little swollen.
No longer
poquito
feeling
swollen.
like said superhero.
Poquito swollen. But I have changed tactics, chat. I've changed tactics. I am now grabbing a rock off my driveway, getting into my car, driving next to the hornet's nest, throwing the rock, scrambling like hell back in my car and slamming the door shut and driving away. And this by this process, I promise to destroy this nest by winter. Or I could wait for winter to come and just like smash them when it's freezing out, because they will not be prepared to move during 20-degree weather. But you know what? I'm impatient and also a wild player. So this is what I'm going to do with my time, because it's entertaining to me.
It is entertaining, even if you get stung. In fact, after I got stung, I was much more motivated to, it was war at that point. When I got hit, I didn't even know it existed at that point, which was really annoying.
Oh,
They
right.
snuck up on me.
Yeah, I knew it existed, and I'd been throwing rocks at it for weeks. So, that's my own problem. That's my own. You know what I should really do? I should go out there tonight, pour some gasoline in a bowl, go directly underneath the nest, and put the gasoline directly underneath the nest. And what this will do is fumigate the wasps and have them drop out. But I'm so damaged from playing our preferred mode of Hearthstone that I'm just going to continue to throw rocks at it and cower in my car and drive away like a lunatic. Because that's the flavor. That's how I want to experience life. Apparently, I know the correct
just don't get
answer
locked
here.
in to the car with one. Just saying.
No. If there's one,
Or
I'll
accidentally
win.
lock yourself
I'll
out
win.
of the car.
No.
And
It's
like
fine.
migral
If there's
yourself.
one, no. I'm not gonna panic. If I close the door and there's one in here, I understand. I'm gonna get stung, but it's not gonna live through the experience. The true mistake there, the way you compound the issue, is if you then leave the car. That's a problem, because now you're drawing further into fatigue, as it were, so that my other wild players understand the situation. Yeah, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. I'll figure it out. I figured out that I don't like the current angle that I stop the car at, because it takes too long for me to scramble into the car and close the door and keep an eye on, am I closing a wasp in the car at the same time? So I need to get a little closer to the nest, have the door as a shield, and dip in ergonomically so I can close the door behind me. I've given this way too much thought. I'm 35 years old trying to throw rocks at a hornet's nest. I got Day 1 Legend with Combo Priest. Similar thought pattern. Thank you. I went. you gotta pair them now forever. I went 55 and 27, 55 and 29 on the day. There was a brief moment there where I think I queued into Shadow Priest, like Shadow Aggro Priest, like 6 or 7 times in a row, and I was like, "That's it. I'm swapping to Odin Warrior," and I immediately queued into a Mage and conceded. And then I immediately queued into a slow druid and conceded. So it's just like, all right, screw it. I'm just gonna go back to Combo Priest. And
Gotta
I
go
jammed
back,
it.
Marty.
It was wild. I lost my because that was the ladder I was climbing. It was weird because I lost my first game of the day. I tempoed a Radiant Elemental with 1 Power Word Shield on it against a Questline Mage, and I was just like, there's no shot they kept malfunction, right? Like there's or whatever. I think it's malfunction is the
2
mana
mana
deal 6.
deal 3, deal 6 if you have no. Yeah.
I was like, there's no shot they kept it. They don't have it. I'm never punished. I just woke up like 5 minutes ago and they punished me and I lost. I won 14 matches after that before I lost again to LPJ Mage. So like I was in this like beautiful like kind of grind where I was just kind of lining him up, knocking him down, and I'd take some risks. And I do some risky mulligans, and I'm just getting away with it. And I was just like, you don't win 14 in a row from playing perfectly. I'm sorry. You need some things to break right your way, whether it's matchups, whether it's just the right draws, the right answer at the right time. But I was lining him up, knocking him down. And so I got to D5 with a record. I think I was like 27-8. I'm like, this is going to be so simple. My MMR is not going to change. I'm going to see the same people. I started seeing other people playing Combo Priest, and I started mostly queuing into people playing Shadow Priest. And Shadow Priest isn't the worst matchup. It was my boss fight. I won it. But it's also like they can just sort of steamroll you and take you out of the game, and there's nothing you could have done. And the mirror is hell. The mirror is like... depending on the version of the mirror that it is, you're either like me, who's playing like the unchanged version with a wave potion in it. So like any big dude that I make can be used against me, and any big dude that you make can be used against you. Or you high roll harder than I do, or I high roll harder than you do. I had a crazy game where it actually came down to like, we were both out of cards, and I top decked Anduin's Gift and used it as mind control on his like 13-13 horror, and that was his last threat, and it was over. They're just like brutal, awful, horrible games, but it farms. It absolutely farms Pirate DH, because Pirate DH is this weird aggro deck that's not. It's like a fake aggro deck because it sucks into other aggro and other fast stuff, and Combo Priest eats its lunch, but it does very well in the slow stuff. So I'm like sort of clawing my way up. I went 55-27. Back at Day 1 Legend. That's 2 months back in a row. Back at Day 1 Legend after having my streak broken. So like, I don't know. Still out here.
That's worth
Still out here. Did it on the treadmill. Got on the treadmill at D3, chunked away, won a bunch in a row. Was
with
good to
like
go.
no battery. I'm impressed.
My phone literally, I was at 7%. I'm like, oh good, I got like 10 minutes. My phone literally died 2 minutes later. So like I would have had to like sprint onto a charger in order to survive. But that was one of those.
Going from aerobic to anaerobic running real quick.
Yeah, real quick. It was one of those games where I had Radiant Elemental into Shadow Priest, and I basically had like Nightshade Tea and I had Nightshade Tea and I had Shadow Word Devour. So I had basically a 2/6 Radiant, and they had a nutty Pirate opener, and I completely negated it, blew it up. And they're looking at a giant Radiant Elemental, and they're like, I'm just gonna go take my ball and go someplace else, which is fair.
It is.
So
Correct response, truthfully.
So yeah, I got stung by hornets. Schmoopy's good at math, and I drooled my way to legend on the leaderboard with Combo Priest for another month. So what's in the news?
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
You guys know that website named Hearthstone? It's been around for quite some time. Well, Immick posted some news. If you've heard of that website, right? Sheep? Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, very familiar.
Yeah.
I think it has my favorite copy pasta.
Oh, it probably does.
Let me go find it.
It also used to have its own deck tracker called Innkeeper, which was the first deck tracker that I ever used playing Hearthstone. Anyway, so this website, it's been around forever. They got a lot of Hearthstone news, decks, all that sort of stuff. If you live under a rock and you never heard of it, check it out. But it's been there. Schmoopydaddy's slowly raising his hand. I recently went and looked. I had joined Hearthstone in 2016. It was my first post anyway. I posted someone, and I was asking what the heck had happened because somebody, Barnes Yasarajed me, and I didn't know what had happened. and that is me asking back in 2016. It's my very first post on that website. I had no idea. It was when Hunter was running it.
I have been a member for 8 years, 8 months, and 8 days.
Yeah. So same as me. We're in the 8-year club. So just like Imic here. So Imic posted from the Hearthstone Twitter account, "Hello travelers, Imic Plays here. In the last couple of days, something has happened. I've been promoted to a new main admin role after 5 years of working on Hearthstone. You can expect more interaction with the community site, news and updates, and more." So congrats to Imic for being, promoted to the main admin. I believe he was in a partnership before with somebody else who's no longer on the team anymore, that has moved on. But that's super cool for Imic. I know that, like it says here, he's been working on the website for 5 years at this point. Yeah, because if y'all don't remember, basically it was going to be shut down back in the day, and the people who had originally created it went on to make a whole new website out of .cards, and Hearthstone was just gone. It was gonna die, and some people stepped in. Imic, I believe, being one of the people that kind of like held the fort down there, and it survived and it kept on going. It was revamped and all that, and they've been putting work into it for years. So good for them, and congrats. All right, so we had I haven't looked super deep into everything on here, but we had somebody post a screenshot of what the CN Perils in Paradise rewards track looks like, and it is pretty miraculous looking. The first thing I noted is it's actually only 50 levels instead of 100.
Yeah, imagine all the here's what I think it is. Imagine all the battle passes we've had over the 2 years that the China server has been shut down, condensed into one, but also the expansion's going to turn over in the relatively near future. In the next couple months, we're going to get a new
we've already got the mini set.
So you got minus 2 months to fit in all this content before you're going to put out a new battle pass. So this is like their way of basically saying, hey, play a buttload right now to get all this stuff that you missed on the other tavern passes, and you can get the passes. This is not related to what they're getting, all the cards, all the basic cards that for the sets, right? Like I think they're getting for free. Blizzard is updating them on the cards they missed for certain years. Am I wrong on that, or is that a fever dream?
I believe you're correct that it's that they're not only getting all the cards, but also in gold as well. So we're seeing packs here on this rewards track. It looks like there are some card packs. It does look like, I can't tell for sure. It does look like they're gold packs. So that would make sense if they're like trying to incentivize people to like get some signatures or something like that out of it, because they already have all of the cards.
Everything I'm seeing here is all free stuff, signature stuff that was from other battle passes that was weaved in. So like they're condensing basically all the missed battle passes on the China server into one truncated, short, value dense battle pass. This must be amazing to climb, if I'm completely honest. You're going to feel like every level you hit, you're unlocking a billion things. Half of it doesn't matter. You're going to get the dopamine hit. It's going to be probably pretty cool for them.
The gold rewards are awesome. There's bags of 300, 325, 350, 375, 425, 525 for gold for one level. Like
it's multiple battle passes worth of gold, right? So they have to make it dense. Yeah. Like even on the first, like the second level, it's 100 and something. The person had already collected it, so it has a check mark over most of it. But it's 100 and something gold. So 2, 3, 4, 5 is another 100 and something. 6 is 200 and something. 9 is 200 and something. 11 is 200 and something. Like this is very easy to overlook. Yeah, this is very easy. A detail that's very easy to overlook. Somebody said, "No, we shouldn't overlook this. We should take a little bit of time. Let's condense this. Let's put it in a format that feels like, okay, you have to play to earn the value because everybody else who played the Battle Pass had to play to earn the value, but also you have less time than normal to do it." And so, like, kind of weaving that thread and kind of getting there to, I'd imagine something that's like a goal that seems fairly reasonable. I think this is really smart on their end.
Completely agreed. They've got all the assets now. The folks who are engaging with the game can continue to get the assets as well. It's in the game anyway. I mean, I think this is an easy win, but also an important win for the China community to be able to take, because this is not that this was what, a year plus of missed material, and now they're able to catch up and essentially be at parity. And I think, you know, eliminating that competitive disadvantage is a great thing. So 2 thumbs up from this sheep.
I wonder if that bag of gold you get post completion is as small as our bag of gold when post completion, or if it's boosted as well, like per level.
Oh, I wonder. Yeah. Because the person who posted this hadn't completed it yet. They were on level 25. They had completed level 25 and were working on 26.
Right. Is it still 50 post or is it not? I'm going to assume it is 50. But, you know, maybe it's not. Maybe it's prorated where it's...
They're going to complete quicker because there's only 50 levels on here. And so even if they get to it quicker, it's not the end of the world.
Hydra, maybe it's still 50 because that's a place where you can still, like, retain some value and not go out of your mind and, like, not completely piss off the corporate bean counters as far as just, like, how much are you giving away value-wise? Like, you know, I think that's an easy place to kind of cut a corner where it's just like, well, not what percentage of the people that are playing on the server are going to actually get past 50 in time to really grind to like 400 or something. I don't know.
How much Hearthstone would you play if you were getting $100 or 100 gold? Like, it would probably motivate me to play even more. Like, how much can I actually get?
Probably motivate me to just sort of sit idle in the Book of Heroes for a while, to be completely honest with you. It's like it's enough where it's just like
I don't think that still works.
I'm not going to confirm or deny because I don't do that anymore.
Gotcha.
I would just play a lot of Hearthstone. So myself.
Yeah, agreed. You know, I really have to be able to pick some priorities here. It's so funny. I started playing that Balatro game, and we have this event going on. So I was playing a lot of Hearthstone, and we have the event, and I'm doing I completed all my weekly quests and stuff. But then I was like, I got to get back, and I got to see how much further I can get on Balatro. But there's no daily quests on it, so technically you can play it whenever you want, which is good because it doesn't interfere. But Stinkin' Warcraft Rumble has daily quests, is like Hearthstone does. So I've got like this battle of, okay, when do I do which daily quest? And then how do I plan for room to play a different video game at the same time? And it's like, stop giving me fun video games to play, world. Oh my gosh, it's too much.
That's why some people say daily quests are toxic, because they're like, it's almost like holding you for ransom and holding your brain for ransom because you have to continuously keep checking in. I had to stop. The itch. I see you.
Right? Like you don't know how hard it was to give up playing on other servers plus another account too. Like it was, if I didn't do those quests, it was, I'd be laying in bed with my wife, right about to go to sleep, be like, crap, I didn't do my dailies on Asia. Like, I'd run out of the bedroom, come to the computer. At the time, my phone didn't run Hearthstone, so I'd like come out here and I'd have to do it. Okay, I can sleep now. Daily quest's over. But like you said, you feel like you're held ransom almost. So please, I advise you, anybody, if you get to the point where you're playing 3 to 4 or more accounts, please realize what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
1-800-GAMBLER. Yeah. It can
Start considering weaning back down.
And once I got off of it's been fine. In fact, I might jump on again just to get like whatever free decks they give you, but because I'm definitely
It's been long enough.
Oh, you might as well. You might as well get the free value and just kind of like, hey, yeah, I'm still here. Get the free value.
Every 90 days, go and get whatever the free deck is.
Yeah, set an alarm.
Yeah, it's not a bad
A recurring calendar item every 90 days to remind you.
Get my free deck. Yeah, all right. Yeah, sure.
Oh no, I logged in at 89 days. It was a leap year, or vice versa. Messed that one up. Anyway, so sweet. That's awesome for those Chinese players that are getting, they were off for quite some time, so they're kind of getting things that were owed to them there. Want to jump into our special topic? All right, so we do have a new Tempo Storm meta snapshot that came out on October the 1st. So I'm just gonna pop in here to tier 1. Schmoopydady, do you wanna take this away?
Sure. I think what is interesting about the meta report that's new information was NHL fan who writes the foreword put into better perspective the fact that we are in Wild right now. Yes, that's right. Your ears are not mishearing. We are in a control combo meta. We are in a control meta.
Can confirm.
It's happening. You can't just queue up an aggro deck and expect to spam your way to rank 1 and that's gonna be okay.
Confirm.
That's not happening right now. So you have to change your tactics a little bit. And the 2 aggro decks that we do have are good ones. It's Aggro Priest and Pirate Demon Hunter. But as Martian was remarking when he was trying to play Reno Lock today at 11x, Pirate Demon Hunter creates such a density of threats and such a cadence of threats that like it's every tiny little board of 1/1s. You have to basically balance, do I want to use removal on this tiny little board of 1/1s, which my opponent has spent very little effort into making, to play around a punishment, or am I going to accept possible damage from it and try to clear something bigger? But you're gambling that you might not be able to clear it because it might be such a density of value behind it that it's a problem. And so it's Pirate Demon Hunter is very good like that, and then in my opinion very poor into other aggro, at best a coin flip. So you're left if you're facing him with a Shadow Aggro Priest, you're probably behind it. Shadow Aggro Priest is a great deck to counter as far as aggro goes, but it's also like, very bursty, so it does its thing very quickly, but you can, outlast it, and you can change your play pattern where you can worry about gaining armor, gaining health, and outlasting it. So basically nothing's really changed, except we're in a very control combo heavy meta. The aggro decks are known. We can game plan for them. There's one deck in particular, though, that they have highlighted as tier 1. They almost put it as the best deck in the format, and that is Lifesteal Demon Hunter. And I am usually lockstep in what Tempo Storm is doing. Yes, the Lifesteal Demon Hunter, which is an XL version of Demon Hunter. It's
Il'gynoth combo?
Il'gynoth, but it's also playing Brutes and Wallopers. So it's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that, it's a little bit of you got peanut butter in my chocolate, you got chocolate in my peanut butter. So you're playing basically both questline DH decks that have been trying to find a way to combine forever.
Yeah, I see the final showdown in the list too. Interesting.
And Martian played the deck, and Martian said, I lost to 1 Charge Druid. I felt like I couldn't lose. OTZ tells me, no, it's a good deck. KVLT tells me, it's busted. You dumpster aggro. Maxi says, nah, deck's busted. It's so good. I play it. I made an hour-long video on my own channel about playing it because I played it the night that I first heard about it. Won 2 or 3 games very handily and was just like, all right, I'm going to stream this tomorrow. Played it a little bit more the next day. Went 0-5. Played a little bit more later. I was like, nah, I won't stream this. Played a little bit more later. Being a little bit more negative on the deck, being like, all right, I don't think this is as good as you guys are saying it is. Went 0-5 again, including into aggro. Played it on stream. Had a streak where I won 3 or 4 in a row. Had a streak where I was completely left out to drift by the draw. In my chat, I have KVLT being like, well, I mean, it's a 40-card deck. Sometimes you brick your draw. And I'm like, bro. And then I'm trying to draw him out and other people out in conversations. And we're talking about the aggro matchup. It's like, well, no, sometimes aggro still high rolls you. Okay, so it's not. Or like, oh, sometimes you don't have your removal. Okay, so it's not dominant into aggro. I made a meme. Okay, I took the effort to make a meme to kind of capsulate my thoughts on this. And that's like, it's the Joker from The Dark Knight. And he's saying, Questline DH loses to Void Touch to Tendon on 1. Nobody bats an eye. Make a Questline DH deck that beats aggro 60% of the time and people lose their minds. Like I feel like this is like a massive error. Like I get that the matchup spread for this deck is very flat. You can kind of win any matchup. That's great. Sounds like it'd have a wonderful home in tier 2. No one is playing this. This is being played by KVLT, this is being played by MaxiBon, and this is being played by people who watch those streams. No one else is playing this. There isn't a huge data set for it. Tom Carter says, well, they didn't have a huge data set for Egg Hunter. They put Egg Hunter tier 1. Egg Hunter is a more convincing deck at what it does than Lifesteal Demon Hunter is. This is not dominant into aggro. This is good into aggro. This is not dominant into control decks. In fact, KVLT says, nah, the regular fatigue Demon Hunter version's better in Dorino piles because you just fatigue faster. So, like, I feel like Tempo Storm did a little bit of a funny and said this meta isn't very interesting. This meta isn't really changing much. Here's this cool new deck. We think it's good. Let's call it tier 1. Yeah, why not? Let's call it tier 1. Let's make it a talking point. Let's push it out there. Let's get more data on it. We'll check it after a month. If we still think it's tier 1, we'll call it tier 1. Maybe it's not as good as we think it is. We can downgrade it within tier 1, or we could drop it all the way into tier 2. I don't believe it's tier 1. That's what my smell test is telling me. My smell test is telling me that it bricks too often, that it's not dominant into the matchups it's supposed to dominate. It's not an easy deck to pilot. Mm-hmm. So I am not convinced that it's tier 1, and that's basically the only bone I have to pick with the report, and I am a spoiled little brat for throwing my toys out of the pram and kind of being cranky about this. But like that's where I feel like I'm at the deck. Is like I'm with Reddit on this one. I'm calling BS. I don't think it's a meme. I don't think it's a bad deck. I would not put it anywhere near the top spot in the meta. I don't think it's anywhere near the top spot in the meta.
Maybe some people just want to see some change in the meta. You add some clickbait tier 1 deck. See what happens.
But Tempo Storm doesn't typically do that. Tempo is usually very conservative
right?
with their projections unless they're absolutely sure. And I could be wrong. I mean, like, listen, I'm not on the Tempo Storm crew for a reason. Right? Like these guys do look at stats. These guys do, like, part of it is smell test, but like anybody who says, oh, they don't look at stats, that is the old meme about the Tempo Storm crew, like 5 crews before this one. This one looks at stats on Donkey and whatever in HS Replay, the same as you and I do. And when they provide lists either they trust from sources they trust, or they find a source that has been recorded on Twitter someplace. Like, they try to point towards something that exists and say, this is concrete, this is it, to show that they're not biased. I fundamentally disagree on this one. This feels almost like Pillager Rogue, where the further down ladder you go and the more aggro you see, the worse this deck list gets. Or it's possible. This deck is just like, KVLT can play it, and Maxi can play it, and a couple other people can optimize it, and like The rank and file, noobs like me are just not letting it click. It's not getting there, and it's not tier 1 for us, but it's tier 1 for them. That's very possible. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I haven't played against or as this deck yet. I have a much smaller sample size as of late, and I'm not in that particular rank bracket. That said, I think that the latter is probably where I would end up with it, because folks like Maxi and KVLT are playing in a much different meta than we are. And they're used to playing against the same people. I don't know if the aggro decks are teched against, this is like so-and-so's like aggro Shadow Priest that also has like a Curse of Rafaam. You can't run that in aggro Shadow Priest. I know.
I get what you're saying though. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Like techs like that into, I know that so-and-so's playing Ice Block, so I definitely want to like play around that.
I know
it could be like one of those more curated, small, like pocket metas where most of the people who are writing for Tempo Storm, they either are in that meta or that pocket meta, or all the people who they're talking to are in that rank bracket. So it very well could be in that rank bracket, legitimately tier 1, like almost best deck in the game style. Whereas if you're running into more aggro, more varied stuff and things, that it maybe just isn't for us, or a combination of that and skill, it's only the people like Maxi and KVLT who are super good at this, as well as they're playing into things that it's situated well into. They've got the reps with the deck. They know how to play it. They're kings of the game for a reason. Like Maxi
KVLT
won a Masters Tour for a reason.
Born with the plus line in his hand. Hydra, what were you going to say?
Oh,
Yeah.
It's just reminiscent of when back in the day, and Hearthstone's a good example of this. They would post after a tournament, whoever was in the tournament, their deck list that they were running or that they won with, right? And it would be these wallet decks or like just something really niche, special tech, and you had to warn people, like, you can't just copy pasta someone's tournament deck and expect to run it on ladder, right? Because it is specifically designed to go up against a specific lineup. So that was something that you had to be aware of at the time. And that can be the exact same with someone playing in a high tier pocket meta up at the very top of ladder. They're seeing specific things that you're not necessarily going to see at a different bonus star.
Yeah, and like I know for a fact now that KVLT is like main decking what is it? Not Mute Witness, the one that doesn't let secrets trigger.
Oh, Tight-Lipped Witness.
Tight-Lipped Witness. He's main decking it.
Mm-hmm. Prime
Which
example.
Like that's just in his list now. And Mediocre was posting a screenshot in a server I'm in where he's like at KVLT, bro. and KVLT's like I hope that's stuck on the left side of your hand forever. And KVLT's like, bro, I tempo king it all the time. I don't. That's the thing. It has it has a bad matchup into Hostage Mage. It can nuke almost anything from orbit, except I don't know if it's faster than Spell Damage Druid. Aggro Priest, it's favored, but it still can die. Miracle Priest is a funny one. Miracle Priest, when I look at that matchup and I play that out, I played against exactly one XL Lifesteal DH my entire climate. It was my second game of the day. And I was playing the old list, so I wave potioned. Well, I didn't need to wave. I potioned their Street Trickster, buffed it up, and smacked them for 50 after they cleared my stuff infinitely. So, like, I felt like that's a tight matchup, but if you're running the wave potion package, it's a tighter matchup than it looks. Pirate Demon Hunter, it only has so many clears. Like you have the 1 mana AoE, and then you have the 1 mana like deal 1 damage to 3 minions, and then you have another AoE, and then like you kind of hope that like you get your brutes down at some point. Like you can only take so much punishment. I'm just not convinced. And like, I don't think it's faster than Egg Hunter. Egg Hunter was downgraded, by the way, to tier 2. Everything that I have seen in the top meta has Egg Hunter as probably the best deck in the format, win rate wise. Very low sample size, very low number of games right now. So like take with that with a grain of salt that you can't. But like the fact that it's in the conversation, you kind of have to pay attention, especially over multiple days. Especially if you run rats, especially if you run Death Lords, where you can pull minions out of the opponent's deck and you can force lion trades. That's just something I just keep an eye on, and not for nothing. Like Fatigue Demon Hunter, Questline Demon Hunter is not far from the top either. It's the next deck in tier 2. I'm gonna take the Corb approach, and anytime I see one of these tier lists with Tempo Storm, just chop and change whatever you want as far as where things sit in the tiers. Don't look too much as far as their actual placement, but pay attention to like what is considered tier 1, what is considered to tier 2, because little fluctuations in the meta can change their actual jockeying and positioning. I fundamentally disagree with Lifesteal DH being where it is. I don't think it deserves to be there. And that's the most interesting discussion we can have right now about the meta, because the meta is largely unchanged from when we had a mini set. And we talked about it last time. Except there's less Charge Druid. I saw Charge Druid was down to like 5% of the meta. Great. We do not need to nerf Dorian if Charge Druid's 5% of the meta, because I'm not playing it every other game. I could care less if you could do your dumb, broken, stupid, bad thing that I can aggro down with either Combo Priest or Aggro Druid. That's Aggro Druid is favored into Dorian Druid. That's great. If there's more Dorian Druid, Sheep's happy. Sheep can get to his card back faster. Like we'd hope for that. But that's so like I wouldn't change a whole lot about this meta right now. We're actually in a really cool place where there's a lot of diversity. Nobody's really playing anything and like coalescing around anything except for the aggro decks. The aggro decks are probably the most frequently played decks, and that's perfect because there's a lot of stuff that up and down the ladder that can feed on the aggro decks. So cool meta if you're wild curious and are looking for a good spot to jump into wild. I know we have new cards coming, sometime within the next 2 months, but consider trying wild, because wild's kind of in a cool place where even if your multiplier sucks, the aggro decks are probably going to do great for you. But if you want to learn one of the other cool decks that are out there, like Spell Damage Druid, Hostage Mage, Miracle Priest, those are decks that are just straight up going to be good into a swath of decks that you're going to see, and I would encourage you to do so.
Before we get into our last segment of the show, we had an impromptu reemergence of the weekly challenge from last week. So we had a funny conversation between my two co-hosts here about the card Ice Block and whether it is going to be nerfed in the next 2 years or not. Schmoopydady, could you explain exactly what the bet here really is, and then we'll go into what the weekly challenge was on this.
Well, it's all a bit hazy for me, but from what I remember, essentially, I believe that Ice Block will be touched in the next 2 years, and we're going to go from the date of the recording of that episode, if that is agreed upon by my esteemed co-host, ElectricSheepCity.
Yes, the 27th of September, 2026 is when we shall conclude this time period in which I'm saying that Ice Block will stay the same, and Schmoopy is saying, no, it'll change. And I hope Schmoopy's right. I wanna get this wrong. But believe me, I want to be wrong here. But Ice Block's not changing. And so whenever Ice Block has not changed by September 27th of 2026, what are the stakes going to be here, Hydra?
Okay, so what we did is we haven't done a weekly challenge in a while, so people aren't exactly used to it or having to respond to it because it's been a minute.
And it was kind of buried this time too.
it was definitely
Super
buried. So
It was a rambling. We were like,
it was
I
a
bet you
rambling.
do. I bet you. All right, fine. We bet each other.
But our friend Tito Santana from the Bread and Butter podcast definitely caught it and posted in our Discord under the weekly challenge section this comment. So in my opinion, the loser of the Will They Nerf Ice Block Challenge should have to do the Ice Bucket Challenge. Which Schmoopydady responded, ooh, good one. And I said, yeah. But I didn't see a comment from Sheep. So, Sheep,
I think that's a good one.
Do you
I
accept?
think that's perfect. I accept that
Are you a
those
coward, sir?
stakes. I'm not a coward. I was thinking it was going to be like
you'd be down.
we toyed with like craft everything in gold. And that could be expensive. This I think is ice bucket, ice block. Like it's
perfect. No, it's genius.
It's a nail on the head.
It's simple. It's genius. I love it. I might end up doing it anyway, even if I win. Like, yeah, it's perfect.
I was just thinking the same thing, honestly.
you know what? If 2 years from now, Schmoopydady, you're somewhat close to an ocean, right? You could even do like the polar bear swim. Could you not do that? How far away from you from the Atlantic?
I mean, I could get to New York City, but they don't let you hop in Hudson Bay that easily.
I
think I'll get some ice from a deli. I'll get a nice Italian combo. We'll get some oil and vinegar, the works, maybe a little oregano in the shaker. You know how it goes. Some capicola, some if it's fancy, some soprasat. And I'll get my bags of ice, and then I'll have my wife dump them gleefully on my head while my children cheer and clap in front of me at my misfortune and my discomfort.
Sounds amazing. I'm
Wiser
sure Sheep.
words have never been spoken.
No. I got a good one for Hydra this week. No, you can't do that.
Yeah, you do.
Unrelated Advice with Hydralisk.
Hydralisk HS, if that is your real name.
It's one of them.
So, my favorite copy pasta is on Hearthstone. It's contained there in its annals, which are important and serve as a historical record for all players to enjoy on the internet for as long as it's, people are paying for the IP address or whatever. So I will read to you the description of a card in the comments posted by a Hearthstoner. I believe they are called. I have no idea. I've actually never thought about the concept until just this moment.
They're called Hearth Ponies.
Oh, Hearth Ponies, perfect. Okay, and so you're going to guess what the card is. Okay,
Sure.
it's a paragraph, so strap in.
Oh,
right.
gosh.
This card should be changed. It simply removes the fun to play this game. The whole point is to create a deck with a strategy that involves playing certain cards at certain points, and often players will hold onto a certain minion for several turns, and in my case, sometimes over 20 turns, controlling the board and waiting for that precise moment where the card defines the game. Your opponent is faster than you. Doesn't allow you to control the board or has a counter for your strategy. They win. Otherwise, you win. Now, this card basically takes all this process, all this strategy, all the brain, all the intellect, all of that out of the equation and removes the minion from your hand and puts it into the battlefield. With this card in play, this game is no more strategic than tic-tac-toe. Hydra, what is that card?
Dirty Rat.
That is incorrect.
What?
That is the honest to God first comment, which has one down vote.
I'm going to help Hydra narrow it a little bit. This comes from Saviors of Uldum. I'm very familiar with this pasta.
Perfect.
This comes from Saviors of Uldum, and it is a class card. It's not a neutral. It's a class card.
He might still not get it.
I might still not get it.
It's very
I
niche.
will tell you. Since
a large
I know
minion.
that you're not gonna. I know that you're not gonna cheat
It
on this.
becomes large because it eats a minion?
No, it's just a large
not-
minion and it's a beast.
It's a large minion. It is a hunter card. I know you're not looking at the collection, so I'm going to tell you that it is an epic.
A hunter epic that pulls something out of somebody's deck and puts it on the battlefield.
Out of their hand,
from their
puts it
hand.
onto the battlefield.
From their hand. That's hunter.
I will actually read you the text on the card. Battlecry, summon a minion from your opponent's hand, attack it.
It is a 6-mana, 6/9 beast.
Is it a dinosaur?
No.
No. That's a good question. That's a very good question, but it is not.
I don't recall the card.
Wiser words were never spoken. You heard that on?
Born to be wild.
Bloodstinger.
Wild
Wild
Bloodstinger.
Bloodstinger.
How could you not remember Wild Bloodstinger, you monster?
Wild Bloodstinger. Oh!
That is
I
a card that
remember this.
exists.